Hi, welcome back to MorganSankofa. Today, I just wanted to start it off in a fun way. These are actually glasses that I got from my old art history professor, Dr. Veeder, and I just wanted to use them so I don't lose them. Today, I will be reading I Would Leave Me If I Could by the singer Halsey. So about the author, Halsey was born Ashley Nicolette Frangipain, and she's a Grammy-nominated singer and songwriter. She lives in Los Angeles, California, and I actually looked up. She was Grammy-nominated for the song "Closer" in 2017. So I wanted to start the video off giving thanks to the Piscataway tribe, who are the people indigenous to some of the one tribe that was indigenous to Maryland, the state that I live in. And I wanted to read some facts about them so that we're all more informed. The Piscataway tribe by 1600 were on primarily the north bank of the Potomac River in what is now Charles, southern Prince George's, and probably some of western St. Mary's counties in southern Maryland, according to John Smith's 1608 map, wooded near many waterways. The Piscataway relied more on agriculture than did many of their neighbors, which enabled them to live in permanent villages. They lived near waters navigable by canoes. Their crops included corn, several varieties of beans, melons, pumpkins, squash, and ceremonial tobacco, which were bred and cultivated by women. Men used bows and arrows to hunt bear, elk, deer, and wolves, as well as smaller game such as beaver, squirrels, partridges, and wild turkeys. They also did fishing and oyster and clam harvesting. Women also gathered berries, nuts, and tubers in season to supplement their diets. Virus. I once had a fever so high I was left to my bed for 7 days. There was a man standing on my mattress with a shovel, lifting chunks out of it angrily. He wiped his brow and his sweat collected in the divots of my blanket, and made a little pond, a scum pond, with talking frogs and lily pads. The pond grew deeper as the man dug harder and sweated. I was drowning. A goldfish swam up my throat and flopped around my mouth. I clenched my jaw and tossed and turned in the scum pond, white and gray algae blinding me and filling my nose with fuzzy mold. I tried to scream and retrieve the fish from the back of my mouth. I was choking. I tried to kick, but the man was standing on my legs. His weight was too much to bear, and I feared that shovel would dismount onto my head and split my skull if I provoked him any more. I tried to yank the fish out again, but it struggled. It attached its jaws to the opening of my throat and would not budge. I yanked and I screamed, and my mother came rushing into the room, tripping over her feet. I was trying to rip out my tongue. She fixed my blankets. She stroked my hair that stuck to me like cotton candy dissolving in water. I wanted to cry, but feared I'd fill the pond again. When my fever broke, I realized the man and the fish were all a dream, and so was she. That one surprised me. That's why I read that one. It was interesting that, the fever was so high that it gave her like this nightmare basically. And it kind of like packs a punch because she thought that she was being comforted by her mom at the end, but she was really by herself the whole time. And there's moments that we go through a lot and we are more or less on our own, or we don't have a person that we really want to be there with us when we're going through those moments. And I just think that it was clever how she wrote about that. And she writes about how it's kind of terrifying to be on your own when you're sick. Everyone wants someone to take care of them, and I thought that was very personal and just very clever. The mirror. I'm pulling funny faces in the mirror, wiping down the glass so I see clearer. I'm trying to feel safe inside. My body doesn't feel like mine. I look at who I am. I think I fear her. I like that one because she was kind of like detached from her body and kind of like trying to figure out who she is when she's looking in the mirror, and she's trying to say like, do I even like the person that I'm looking at, and like, who is this person all about? I think a lot of times we look at ourselves for our outer appearance of what we look like, but in that case I think she was looking at like who she is on the inside, and if that person on the inside is someone that she can trust. So I thought that was one to read and to think about. Like, when you look in the mirror at yourself, are you happy with not only what you see on the outside, but who you are on the inside? Does it match with somebody that you would like? I'm using my library receipt as a bookmark and just breaking it off. And anyway, okay, this one is called Everything. This was one of my favorite ones. Before I knew we were poor, everything was magic. An empty fridge meant freezer burnt popsicles for dinner. Purple blue mouths and toothless smiles calmed the torment in my mother's crux. Everything was an adventure. A shared bedroom with my little brother meant an eternal playmate, a warm tent closed off by a blanket, hung from a bunk bed and a hairdryer, snuck under the sheets to keep warm. Arctic explorers waiting for a rescue unit. Everything was a mystery. Voices resounding from the living room, vehemently snaking through the short halls of the apartment. And then one day I had everything, and everything was over too soon. So overall, the poetry book by Halsey, I Believe Me If I Could, was just such a pleasant surprise. Believe it or not, I didn't even know that I was buying her book of poetry. I just said, okay, this looks neat. And I said, let me just pick it up. And then I actually saw her doing an interview on the Kelly Clarkson show, and this is her book. And so I highly recommend you reading this. It really describes a lot of traumatic moments in her life and some of her like relationships that were problematic, and also just a lot of mental health, and just women empowerment poetry that I'm into. I felt a connection with her through these poems, and I think that Ashley, which is her name, is somebody that's not only a talented writer, but I think that she is a survivor, and she is deserving of her success. Just on a side note, I like Halsey's songs Nightmare, Without Me. She is a really good performer live, like, and she kind of does those like artistic and like full immersion body like choreography, which is like she's a real artist. So that's a plus for her. Um, her voice. She's a pop artist, but her choreography really good. So for today's action step, I would like everybody to go to a website called nativeland.ca. It's https:/native-land.ca, and here you can look up the indigenous land in which you are living and wherever state that you are living in. And I highly recommend you do this just so you have perspective as you go about your day. The indigenous people are not erased, and they are here still, and as everyone knows, and they are often, written off, and they're off in their reservations, and if they're not, they're not as talked about as some of the other minority communities. So I just highly recommend you go to nativeland.ca, and I'll put the link below so that you can see whose land you're on. And the Piscataway people, um, you know, they they belong here. They belong here too. So with that, please like and subscribe. I am excited about some things I have cooking, and it's gonna be good, and it's gonna be worth the wait. What I have next. So with that, please continue to stay safe. Make sure you wear your masks and wash your hands, and use your hand sanitizer, and make sure you keep your faith, whatever that may be. Okay, bye. See you next week.